A little while ago, I was really bored, and I decided I wanted to make something in a single evening. The product of that evening was this bookmark, of course, which, although it may not look that bad at first, it's really not that great. I mean, first off, the sanding job is really bad, the tassel already broke, and the thing's just falling apart, man. So the goal of the video is to recreate the bookmark and make it something I'd actually use. Now, before you get mad at me, I know what you're probably thinking. 96-piece bookmark? That looks more like a 5-piece bookmark. 6 if you're counting the tassel. And you'd be right, but I'm not exactly remaking the bookmark. Although the original bookmark does have a lot to improve on, I decided to make a couple of important changes to the design that I think will make all the difference in the end. Alright, so we've got all our parts, and you'll notice two things. The first thing is that these parts do not fit into here at all. And the second thing you'll notice is that these edges are completely burnt. If I try to glue a burnt edge to another burnt edge, it just doesn't work. You don't get a strong adhesion, so I need to sand all this off. And once I've done that, then I can do the finishing touches and get these fitting perfectly into these holes. I'm just gonna cut off a little bit of this 100 grit sandpaper, and this should do the job pretty quickly. Alright, so as you can see, I've just gone in and gotten all these little edges inside of there, and all these edges are nice and clean. Now that's out of the way, I've scuffed up this one a little bit, so I'm going to see if I can fix it up with this 800. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of touch up on these guys too. Alrighty then, these parts look like they're ready for some staining. Although I did consider switching up some of the stains for the new bookmark, I decided to keep it the same as the old one. I thought it would make for a little bit more of an actual fair comparison at the end to see how much I improved between the two bookmarks. For applying the stain, I am just using some regular kitchen sponges, which are not near as good as the actual foam spreaders. But when it comes to price and being able to just chop off the part that you used, I far prefer just using a chunk of one of these kitchen sponges instead of using a whole new paintbrush. As for little squares, I decided to leave them as is and not apply any stain because I wanted a nice bright white to stand out against the dark panels. Once the bookmarks had finished drying, it was time to glue the frames in. I was a little hesitant to put on a lot of glue in order to avoid squeeze out, but when I did get squeeze out, I was just able to rub it off my finger and it left little to no residue. After putting some of the frames in, I noticed some gaps in the corner, so I just used the paintbrush to put a little dollop of glue in the corner and then smush it in with my finger, which seemed to work well. I would like the bookmark to have as little gaps showing as possible when it's finished, but I think that'll be hard to do with so many little squares, so I hope the finish fills some of those holes or at least makes them less noticeable. Once the glue had dried, it was time to put in all the little squares, which I didn't think about how long it would take until now. I ended up using 2 different tweezers to hold the square in place and then using the other tweezers to push it down. This was pretty difficult with some of the squares and it took a long time, but I eventually got pretty good at it. There we go. First panel done. How many was that I just did? 3, 6, 27, 29. Ooh. Probably about, I don't know, like a third done? I hope so. They are all in, except this one. Still needs to go in. I have this hammer that's supposed to be used for like tuning a kalimba. I think that's how you say it. But I thought it'd be really fun to like hammer this one in. Oh, never mind. 3 just fell out. Alright, now we're good, right? Alright, should be good enough. Now we can hammer the last one in. Alright. Okay. Dude! Hey, there we go. Because of the different grain directions and because some sides get more burnt than others when they're cutting, there is a little bit of varying between the things, but I kind of like it. Looks like it's time for some finishing. For finishing the project, I just used a basic polyurethane finish and sanded between most coats. I think I did 4 or 5 coats, but I just waited until I was satisfied with it. Using a kitchen sponge is especially useful when you're doing a small project like this, because between coats, the sponge will often harden if there's any sort of finish left on the sponge, but in this case I can just cut off the hardened part and get a brand new sponge every single time, which is a little hard to do with the foam brushes because they have a little plastic thing inside which stops you from doing it too much. Once the finishing was done, I decided to try my hand at making my own tassel. For my material, I'm going to use this nice blue and gold cord, nylon cord. Alright, so I've just done a couple of square knots, and immediately I feel like this is a lot more bulky than I want it to be. So I think I'm actually going to go ahead and untie some of these knots. Alright, I think that looks a little bit better. Alright, the bookmark is finished. It's time to discuss what's good, what's great, and what's awful. Definitely the tassel. The tassel. Starting just seeing with how structurally sound they are, which is the main thing I wanted to improve on. I think we already know this one isn't structurally sound, and let's just do a little light test. I don't see anything. I think that's perfect, actually. Little dot in the corner there, but I'm very happy with that. Second thing, let's just address the tassel. It's really not great. I'm not sure if there's a good way to knot this specific cord without it looking super bulky. I think tassels are supposed to be kind of like flowing and magical. This one just looks really stressed. If I put it up here, it stays up there. I don't think it's supposed to work like that. The next category is, I guess, is just general likeness. This one's pretty bland. It's not very shiny. This one's nice and shiny. And this one has a lot more hours put into this one, which I think makes it more valuable, and I like it a lot more. That being said, I consider this project a success. I would like to make more bookmarks in the future, so if you have any ideas for that, please drop a comment down below. Have a good day.